It's early morning at Banksia Peninsula on Lake Victoria, just on 300 kilometres east of Melbourne. The din of bird calls blends with the lapping waves, and the sandy peninsula's largest native mammals browse peacefully amid the racket from the gum trees. In 1960, Camp Cooinda was founded by David Merritt, his wife Joy, and his brother John. The Merritts chose this brilliant location for an adventure camp on a peninsula donated for just this purpose by a visionary goat farming couple, Fred and Joan Barton. The Bartons could scarcely have imagined how many young people would learn to love the outdoors in these magnificent surroundings over the ensuing half-century. By the water's edge, a magpie retreats to the cover of the bracken. The tranquil mood is about to be shattered as the first of 3 patrols of teenagers hits the cool water in their quest for the Polar Bear Award, first group to be totally immersed before breakfast every day of the camp. This ritual has been going on for 50 years. I know because I was there as a 12-year-old camper at the very first camp in May 1961.
Well, the early years, you know, some of the memories are of us just making do with the simplest of things. No telephone hookup, no power figures, no online water, but somehow that was all just part of it, and we managed. We had a few builder friends who helped supervise putting up buildings, and we all developed skills we didn't know we had.
This was David and Joy's cabin, and this one of the bunkhouses. The camp's skill instructors formed a special elite group known as the Yacht Club, as reflected in their magnificent accommodation. The patrols slept in army tents with straw palliasses. The boating fleet was small and included, among other craft, 6 wooden kayaks, 4 Canadian canoes, skittish little yachts called Parkdales, and reassuringly unsinkable mirrors. With the roar of the speedboat Doolamai's thunderous engine echoing across Duck Arm, I, like many others, learned to water ski, although Doolamai was eventually silenced. The camp's original workhorse was Ulysses, which took us all over the lakes, including memorable picnics on 90 Mile Beach. KX-26 was luxurious by comparison and far more reliable, and of course it's still going strong today. Sing-alongs to guitars and David's accordion took place on the beach or in the main hall, and of course the hall was the focus of that vital camp ingredient, food. The bush outpost was a place to really get away from it all, and was an inspired way for young people to learn about self-sufficiency. As Joy Merritt explains, the basic ingredients of the Cooinda experience really haven't changed much at all over 50 years.
Experiences that provide an element of challenge, developing new skills and so on, but all in a framework of developing relationships. And that was the original motivation, and it remains the motivation. It's something pretty special.
It's less than a day since this group of 30 young people arrived by bus from Melbourne to a rousing welcome from the leadership team. Many have been here before. For others, it's a new and very different experience.
So as we call out your name, please make your way up the front and out the door, and Marty and Graham will show you where to go.
Program directors Andy and Tony Merritt introduce the campers to their patrol leaders, and the new groups of 12 move off to get to know each other and settle in. Each camper is assigned their own personal flotation device, or PFD, and their initial instruction sessions begin.
Okay, so we're going to get you skilled up, ready to go. All right. Anyone hasn't... who hasn't been to camp?
Program directing is a many-faceted task, and Andy pedals more PFDs down to Cooinda's jetty on Duck Arm. Meanwhile, behind the scenes as always, the cooks are busily preparing lunch. The combination of teenage enthusiasm and strenuous outdoor activity means the cooks' work will never actually be done. Their role is invaluable and seemingly endless.
60, I think we're making packed lunches for today.
The pressure. Down at the front beach, the first tentative attempts to get into kayaks without tipping over or losing paddles are underway. There's heaps of enthusiasm. Coordination will take a little longer. The canoe fleet is being paddled by an older, more experienced patrol, and it shows. They'll be under the watchful eyes of their instructors, and they'll all have to demonstrate a range of minimal skills before they're given the okay to head off on their first expedition. And the lake's famous black swans give the canoeists a perfect demonstration of formation paddling. Having delivered his PFDs, Andy watches proceedings from Cooinda's jetty on the well-protected Duck Arm.
Well, it's good because I can eat tons of meat like a carnivore should.
All this paddling builds up those appetites, and each meal is a welcome treat, provided you remember you have to do it all yourself. And you have to do all the dishes as well, although that doesn't seem to be too much of a chore. On the first night, as a great way of building team spirit and bonding within the patrols, some ingenious games are played out around the camp.
The king is dead.
How did he die?
He died doing this, then this, then this, I think, and then teeth, and then boogie, and then this.
Ah, excellent.
The king is dead.
How did he die?
He died doing this. Mama.
The king is dead. How did he die? He died doing this. Mama! The king is dead.
How did he die?
He died doing this. Mama!
You go. The king is dead. How did he die? He died doing this. And then this. And then he went. And then he clapped. And then he went, ah! And then he his nose, rubbed his tummy, and mama, and then. We're missing one here. What? So we'll get to it. So go through it, and we'll help you out. What of it? Just do it. What's
The king, he is dead.
How did he die?
He died doing this.
You have to do yours. No, the head of the sand. You have to do yours first.
Oh, mine, whoa, wonderful. He died doing this. He did. And then
On three, right. Shouldn't it be someone in the middle because then everyone can do it?
Here, the youngest patrol wrestles with the challenge of getting 24 feet and 24 arms to coordinate 2 planks and some ropes well enough to move forwards or turn a complete circle, and all in the dark.
Everyone stand on the left one.
No wonder we weren't moving. Jay has a...
Okay, so you've already tried a couple of the activities that we have here on offer at Cooinda. Everyone's done a bit of canoeing, a couple of patrols have done some kayaking. There's a few other things that we...
After supper, Tony and Andy brief all of the campers about likely weather for tomorrow and discuss some of the options available for tomorrow's activities.
Out to sites on the lakes, give you a bit of an experience. Oh.
Somewhere around here.
Somewhere around here. I should move back.
Andy instructs campers about the safe use of hurricane lamps.
And you just slide it in along the wick, it'll light. So you notice it's a very high flame, and that'll produce a lot of light, but it'll also produce a bit of smoke. Very, very careful about where you put them in the tent, because they do have kerosene in them, and if you knock them over, they will go out, but they will make a horrible stinky mess that you'll have to sleep with for the rest of the night.
Your sleeping bag will never be the same, yeah.
Quite smelly stuff. So
Then it's off to the tents with the hurricane lamps and that vital piece of low-tech equipment, the Mozzie coil, for a good sleep in anticipation of the big day ahead. With Michelle to guide them, this patrol's trying their hand at archery, and they're doing pretty well. Keeping a close watch on the weather are Cooinda President Phil Hart and his dad Terry, who's a professional meteorologist. They're looking a bit worried.
We're worried about New Year's Day. It's looking windy. How much? 20 to 30 knots. Which is a bit unpleasant, to say the least.
Phil explains the outlook at the morning briefing.
That's the southwesterly wind, which is one key direction, and that's what's happening outside at the moment. It seems on the beach out the front here, the wind is coming from over the trees here, so when you stand out on the beach it can seem reasonably calm, but as you get further offshore you get more exposed to that wind and you'll feel it's actually quite strong. So that's what we've got for today, and it's likely to be southwest to westerly winds for the next few days of varying strength.
Forecast, we can use the radar.
Also keeping a sharp eye on the weather is Cooinda's co-founder and director, David Merritt. David's been checking the weather in this neck of the woods for 50 years, so he knows the signs to watch for. But these days, the information provided by the Bureau of Meteorology is comprehensive and frequently updated, and the internet plays a vital role in ensuring the safety of all campers in Cooinda's care.
And there's another marvellous page which the Bureau does now with amazing technology called Latest Weather Observations for Victoria. And if we go down to West and South Gippsland, for example, East Sale, the last weather observation was 9:05 and it's now 9:10. And we know that their wind speed was basically 16 knots westerly with gusts to 18. Lakes are very vulnerable to winds because they're a long length of lake just inland from the coast. So particularly if we get west and southwest winds, you get a build-up along that length of lake. And the change from either north or east winds to west and southwest winds is spectacularly dangerous for us in small boats. And the forecast issued by the Bureau of Meteorology for this morning is that winds that are northwest will, at about 10 to 20 knots, will build up through the morning, and around midday we'll get a southwesterly change of 20 to 30 knots. So what we're doing this morning is we're using our mobile phone contacts with the group on Rotamar Island to wake them up early after New Year's Eve and say, hey guys, up, get to the jetty for the rendezvous, and if you want, when you get back to camp you can go and sleep again. and we've used our UHF unit to talk with the island and get them to get people down to the point for a food drop, because we're going to leave them there an extra day. So their island people marooned now for an extra day, and of course that's not a great hardship for anyone, especially as they have fantastic food and lots of cooking.
They're well stocked. And
they're well stocked, yeah. Yep. Nargan Chaser, 3AR Point Turner, 9-1. Nargan Chaser, Point Turner. Nargan Chaser, Point Turner.
Point Turner, just letting you know it's about to head off Moronaba. Over.
Okay, the group will be on the jetty about the time you get there, and the launch is about 10 minutes ahead of you, so that's excellent timing. So I'll stand by 88.
Over.
Although they were woken up early, the patrol's now safely back at camp and their spirits are high.
How was your trip?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, we went to the beach and stuff. And
Yeah? What'd you do for New Year?
I went down 90 Mile Beach.
got really, really ridiculously cold.
Had fun.
Pretty safe though?
Yeah,
We saw some of the fireworks.
lots of stars in the sky when you're not in the city and stuff. It's great.
And here's all the goodies that you took with you.
Oh yeah. Probably too many goodies, but hopefully we brought them all back and didn't leave anything, any goodies lying on the island.
You're all smiling.
Oh yeah.
Good time?
Yeah, it was a great trip. Yeah, it was really good.
Best part?
Best part, probably singing on the beach before midnight. That was fun. Yeah.
It's not actually that heavy compared to some of the other ones.
This Mickey Mouse thing, it's pretty heavy. Grand jumping.
Yeah, you can see how you're squinting.
Doing very well.
Why we brought you across, the wind reading 40 kilometres down the lake, which is coming our way, is now 28 knots, gusting to 36. So out there now it will be 25, 26, gusting to 30. So if we'd left you, we wouldn't put our powerboats on the lake with that weather, so you'd have been marooned there. So if you had to wake a little early and catch up a bit later, if you look at the lake, you can see what the program directors were planning when they, on the mobile, said, take the guys, move them. So it happens every now and then.
Well, we had to get up pretty early and to go across the bay before the wind blew up because it got real windy, as you can see, with a nice pan. Yeah, and so we do have to do our polar bear thing, and we didn't have enough time to do polar bear before we got into the boat, and we had to day-trip and everything, so now we're cooking breakfast, or brunch, or lunch, or...
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Cool.
It's like a real yummy and tell us what it tastes like.
I think I got enough sugar though, yeah. Oh, here we go. Sensational. Who wants to turn? Can you look at the face so I can see myself in the reflection?
What's happening?
Leftover lemon tart, shared by the cooks.
Back in the kitchen, what might be called the appetite centre of the camp, the cooks are taking a brief moment to relax and enjoy the fruits of their own labours.
Cheers, cheers. They're the gingerbread queens over there.
Want Nigella, do you?
No, I'm not Nigella.
Now you have to kiss the pastry. A happy kitchen is a good kitchen.
It's day 3, and the canoeists are practising the finer arts of righting a capsized canoe. Under Steve's watchful eye, the canoes are rafted up and the submerged canoe is manoeuvred at right angles to the raft. It's tricky, especially for physically smaller campers, but pretty soon the canoe is hauled onto the raft, tipped right way up and refloated. Being able to right a capsized canoe is an important skill to master, but in some situations it may be better to swim the boats ashore. Once in shallow water, they can be turned over and emptied of water, then refloated or beached while the campers dry out and check their gear. Sometimes the magic of the Gippsland lakes is almost overwhelming, such as when this pod of dolphins decided to feed right in front of the camp. New Year's Eve was incredible. No fireworks, no champagne, no crowded city. Instead, nature turned on the magic of bioluminescence. Add some sparklers and we had the simplest, most magic of nights. Joy Merritt put it really well.
Think of all those crowds who are gathering in Federation Square or here, there, everywhere to celebrate New Year's Eve. Think what they're missing. Look at this. It's costing millions to put on fireworks somewhere, and we've just got this natural wonder in the water of the luminescence, which was absolutely remarkable. And playing with it by throwing sand in the water and looking at the sparklers. Yeah, that was great fun. It's something that over the years we don't always have, but it is always. I do remember a last night ceremony when, as we all walked in silence around the edge of the lake, there was luminescence in the water, and it was like the icing on the cake, wasn't it?
With the seas building in the face of strengthening southwesterly winds, it's decided that patrols will travel by launch to Rotomar and Cooinda Islands. As usual, the first task is to load up all the food and camping gear. Crucial to these exercises are the camp's launch, the venerable KX-26, and brand spanking new speedboat, the Nargan Chaser. KX-26 is slow but seaworthy and carries a whole patrol of campers. The Chaser is fast and vital should a rescue operation be required.
Both of the boats are now off on their way to Rotomar Island.
Yes, both drivers are checked in, so it'll be interesting to get get the report on how heavy the seas are crossing there. It should be rolling about a metre, I guess.
In 1985, Camp Cooinda Inc. bought its own island. There's not much on Cooinda Island, and that's part of its charm.
We're just heading towards Pigface Point on Cooinda Island, ready to drop off the island director for his 4-night stay on the luxurious Cooinda Island. And we're leaving a few visitors for company as well. The island's underwater. Oh no. Yep, grab this. Welcome to the island.
The path in floods during westerly winds, and the accommodation is probably what developers would call rustic charm, but the jungle beat shows that the campers love it.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Group's starting to mush together more. It's fantastic. Having a ball, I love it here. Don't want to leave.
With plenty of time on their hands, the campers' attention turns fairly naturally to food, and damper is always a winner.
Oh, Tom did the best one ever.
Really?
Last year on the island. He, I don't know, but he, like this has only got flour, water and sugar in it, and there's salt and sultanas.
We all sneaked up and
No one saw us.
No one saw us. Everyone had the torches in our faces, but they didn't see us moving. We were crouched down on the ground. Joel turned around and saw us, and so he joined in, plan, dogged on his own patrol, and we all scared the guys in the hammock over there.
And the guys in the tent.
No Cooinda camp would be complete without a visit to the magnificent 90 Mile Beach. It's a place that invites fun, and can you imagine a better place to go fly a kite? The strong winds eventually eased, making it possible for patrols to cross the lake in canoes. It was a glorious day, and Lake Victoria's boating community was out in force. And so were the pelicans. Later on, back in camp, the expeditioners shared their highs and lows from the canoe trip.
It was easier than I thought it would be.
Very wet.
Not wet.
Yeah,
Or the mud, you sunk in about 2 metres in the mud.
A lot of it.
What was the best bit? Was there a worse bit?
Yeah,
Getting,
because
like,
if we went over in...
Mozzies, yeah.
Yeah, probably Mozzies, but also if we went over in
say the Noggin Chaser or the launch, we would have had to go on the pier and then walk 25 minutes with all our stuff. But which we rode, we had to go an extra K and land in mud about that deep.
Food?
For dinner we had stir-fry noodles with beef and tofu, and then for dessert we had damper with chocolate chips.
Oh, sounds pretty tough. Rough life. Was it good?
It was awesome.
What about you girls? How was your trip?
Oh, it was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun canoeing there. Toured on the island.
You did we paddled a long way, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like 7 kilometres, I think.
Mm.
It was really
And then we did it back again.
Yeah.
So you paddled the whole way there and back?
Yeah, we had a little stop on the way, but yeah, it was really good.
Yeah?
It was fun.
What was the best bit?
Probably like getting there and then getting back here, because you know,
And
you've like, done the
making-
whole thing.
Making damper was
Oh, that was fun, yeah, the chocolate damper.
What was the worst part?
Carrying all the barrels up the hill.
I always feel like they're gonna fall off. And there were so many mosquitoes there.
Oh,
the
heaps.
mud.
Oh,
the mud. Yeah, the
mud.
mud as well.
Yeah, the mud,
was
really
bad.
And then what's happening this afternoon, do you know?
Showers and sleeping.
Hopefully.
And stuff. Yeah.
And have you got something prepared for the camp concert?
Yeah,
we're
working on a skit.
Yep, it's hardcore.
Don't tell me what
It's
it is.
super hardcore.
Uh-huh, okay,
Because
well
we're
look
just awesome like that.
They like the 90 Mile Beach?
They loved it.
Yeah.
Went nuts.
They didn't like the mozzies or the mud?
No, neither did we.
But they weren't looking forward to a paddle, and now we've done it. They absolutely loved it. I think they're glad that we went.
Yeah, doing on this camp as well, I think.
And I hear a very shallow polar bear would swim this morning, is that right?
Yes, it was just a bare minimum.
Probably could have done it in a bucket.
Yeah.
Might have been preferable in a bucket. Great. So how would you rate it out of 10 as a successful trip?
9.5.
Yeah.
Great.
Dude, it's that time, guys. You're ready. Let's get all this gear cleaned up. Stuff that you got from this area, so all your tripping stuff, leave your personal gear outside, and we'll whiz through a bit of washing, we'll put the good stuff away. Someone on those barrels, and once you get your gear out of the smaller barrels, all of those need to rinse out as well. So yeah, was one of you guys going to do the bottles for us? So exactly the same thing, so...
No, I'm not here.
Finally, on the second last day, the wind is perfect for sailing. Well, almost. And what a great sight to see those blue pacer sails skimming across the lake. Sadly, it's the last night of camp, but as the life jackets, boats and paddles sit idly on their racks, plans are afoot for a very special night indeed. Starting with a fancy dress dinner, followed by the traditional Cooinda concert. And right now, spirits are very high.
Okay, so on to the second round of Who Am I? What I want you guys to do now, because you're all pumped, right? You're focused, this is fun. We're going to shoot at the target. So, load up. Load up the bows. And fire when ready.
likes to flirt. The water is wet when we sweat. We have had fun with what we have done. We have regrets but no threats. This camp is awesome without boresome. We have fallen over and found a clover. We missed out on polar bear, but we're too cool to care. We met new people and lost 2 new people. We're going to go, not to stay, but it's okay, for we're coming back the next day.
Hey guys, welcome to Cooinda. I'm Andy and it's... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Tony. This is Andy. Are we supposed to laugh?
Hey guys, let's go jump off the jetty.
Oh, can we take off our shoes to enjoy the fun?
I don't know if that's really that safe, guys. Oh, sure it is. Come on. Let's go.
Are you sick of having to worry about whether your towel is dry or not? Right now at Cooinda, you don't have to worry about anything like that. Are you hating to get up in the morning and having to do polar bear and your towel is dry? Me too. Now, we don't have to think about drying with a dry towel. It beats you to the wetness. You can go to sleep at night knowing that your towel doesn't need to dry. Amazing, isn't it? Totally wonderful and always wet. Call 1-800-Cooinda tonight. Purchase yours.
We have a hilarious concert, usually to start with in the hall, and it's all very noisy and rowdy and great fun. And then there's a transition. From the time we leave the hall, we won't speak until we come back. And so we all go in single files with just simple little hurricane lamps for about every 8th person, something like that, down a little bush track to where there's a fire container ready on the beach, buckets of water nearby, and we have a little ceremony down there. There's always a bit of music playing of a guitar or a flute. Flute music is fantastic by the beach in the evening. And then there's a little reflection time on what's been going on in camp and what kids have enjoyed and what's been important to them and what they'll carry with them.
But now I want you to come in a time machine that will be more marvellous than Doctor Who's machine, because I want you to come in your imagination a trip of 4,000 years back in time. Back beyond when Captain Cook sailed into Botany Bay, back beyond when Christopher Columbus sailed across the Atlantic in his little ship to the new land. When your objectives are personal development, you're looking for giving kids new experiences that they process in their way. You can never sort of control or dictate what happens. We get enough reports back from parents that there are some developments and changes in how kids deal with their schooling and their friends, and we get probably over half of those who come in fall in love with the whole concept and come back. So for example, in this camp there'd be campers here who are now 16, 17, who've been here 4 times, and hopefully they'll come through into the leadership program. So along with what mosquitoes inject into the blood system or take out, something happens in the love for the outdoors, the enthusiasm for relationships with people that presumably has good spin-offs. And the leadership team's made up of people for whom that kind of enthusiasm is part of what they bring to this experience, because they're all quite crazy. I mean, they're all volunteers giving up holidays to do this sort of things because they like the outdoors, they like kids, they like the kind of group life and challenge and sense of responsibility the program. And I see this as a branch of education. I think the whole personal development, what happens in the development of community and especially in the outdoor setting, in a temporary community like a camp, which is a different setting to the school and the home, really is one of the most fascinating educational environments there is. So for me, it hasn't been a journey that's been away from assumptions. It's been a development of insights into ways you can actually involve kids in making discoveries gives. When we do the surveys, which we do every couple of years of both leaders and campers, one of the things that comes out again and again from the campers is they feel they have a lot of choice. So because they're in small groups and they're asked what would you like to do after they've got their basic skill competence up in canoes, they pick which sites they go to, and we do all the background checks on safety and weather forecasts and support systems and equipment and so on. But they feel they're kind of creating their own community, and there's something very substantial that happens in those sort of groups. I guess it's hard to describe, but it's what keeps a lot of the people who are involved in the program over many years wanting to be part of it.
And traditionally, David has told one of the old stories, and more it tends to be the legend of Wowassa, where the whole point in the end is the important thing is not to bring back from the mountaintop something material, but a vision. And it was the vision that Wowassa brought back to the tribe. So it's an old American Indian story, but it is one you can hear many, many times.
Because there was nothing in his hands. And Wowassa said, "O great chief, where I stood on the top of the mountain of the chief, there was nothing I could bring, neither plant nor rock. But great chief, where I stood, I could see the splendid vision of the sun shining on the great ocean." And the chief remembered the time many years before when he had stood on that spot and seen the sun shining on the distant ocean. And he knew that Wowassa had achieved his journey's goal and had courage to reach the very top of the mountain. And he said, "Truly, you reached your journey's goal and you shall be our chief." And Wowassa became the chief of the tribe, and he ruled his people well, with wisdom and courage, and led them in the ways of peace.
Of the importance of vision in life and reflection time. And then quietly at the end, we all get up and people pick up the lanterns and we walk back to camp by a different route around the shore up to Point Turner, where we can see the light going on and off, and around the shore, and then back up to camp in quietness, and put hurricane lamps on the table and supper without any electric light. It's something campers remember and look forward to. I think it brings together all those things that, you know, we're in this for. Just appreciation of the outdoors, but you're doing it in a group of people with whom you've done all sorts of things during the past week. So the whole relationships, relation to nature, it all comes together.